In news out of Monday's hearings in the USVI criminal courts, we learned that 3 men on St. Thomas have been slapped with gun-related charges in 3 unrelated incidents, while one person in St. Croix faces a host of charges, including burglary as a crime of domestic violence. On October 15th, police on St. Thomas intercepted a heavily tinted black Honda Civic, which was traveling east on Veterans Drive. The driver, identified as 37-year-old Kirk Thomas, was asked for his license and vehicle registration documents and stepped out of the car because he said that his driver's side window could not roll down. When he opened the door, officers reportedly noticed the smell of marijuana emanating from inside. Thomas told police that he was on his way to work. As he stood outside the vehicle, one police officer noticed that Thomas was shaking. Another officer questioned a bulge near Thomas's waistband, upon which he admitted to having a firearm. A search of his person yielded a black handgun, which was determined to be a Smith & Wesson .45 caliber pistol with 1 round in the chamber and 10 additional rounds in a black magazine. The weapon was unlicensed, and thus Thomas was placed under arrest and charged with possession of an illegal firearm and ammunition. At his advisement hearing, a judge ruled that Thomas could be released into the care of an approved third-party custodian if he posted 5% of his $50,000 bail requirement. He will be restricted to the St. Thomas-St. John district and must report to the probation office every week. The consumption of alcohol or any controlled substance is prohibited, as is obtaining a firearm, ammunition, or any other dangerous weapon. A second St. Thomas man faced the court on gun-related charges on Monday after the vehicle he was traveling in almost collided into a police vehicle. On Sunday, police conducted a traffic stop on a blue Honda Fit after it almost hit a police vehicle in the Gasbergsgade area on Sunday. Inside were 3 young men, 2 minors, and 18-year-old Kimari Hughes. The teens told police that they were on their way to, quote, the village by the fort, and when they exited the vehicle, officers took note of the scent of marijuana. Police conducted a search which yielded cannabis residue, paraphernalia for rolling marijuana cigarettes, and loose ammunition in a container in the glove compartment. The teens insisted that they had no gun, but all were arrested. The minors were released into the custody of their parents until their advice of rights hearing on Monday. In court, a judge ruled that Hughes would have to post $2,000 in cash or property to secure his release, after which he could return to the care of his mother, who would act as his third-party custodian. Hughes was ordered to abide by a daily 4 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew and will not be able to leave the district without the court's written permission. He must report to the probation office 3 times a week and is prohibited from consuming alcohol or any controlled substance, as well as possessing firearms, ammunition, or a dangerous weapon. In the third traffic stop turned gun charges incident on St. Thomas, 26-year-old Deshaun Williams appeared before the courts on Monday. Williams was stopped earlier that day on Niskey Center Road because officers noticed that the front windshield of his gray Toyota Corolla was tinted in violation of existing regulations. Williams, the driver, was informed that he was being pulled over for the excessive tint and because the officer had taken note of the scent of marijuana in the vehicle. Williams admitted to having marijuana in his bag and submitted to a pat-down. When the car was searched, police came across a black handgun fitted with a laser pointer underneath the driver's seat. The forensics team identified the weapon as a 9mm handgun with a 17-round magazine filled to capacity with 9mm bullets. The weapon was not bearing a serial number. Williams told police that the gun did not belong to him, and neither did he have any idea of how it got under the seat. Police did determine that the vehicle belonged to someone else, but Williams was still arrested and charged with constructive possession of a firearm, possession of ammunition, and having a firearm with an obliterated serial number. When he appeared in court, a judge ruled that Williams would need to post 10% of his $50,000 bail to secure his release. Williams, a St. Croix resident who was only on St. Thomas for the weekend, will be allowed to return to St. Croix but must then report to the probation office twice weekly. He is prohibited from consuming alcohol or any controlled substance, as well as from obtaining a firearm, ammunition, or dangerous weapon. He will, however, be allowed to reside with a third-party custodian following his release. On St. Croix, Aaron Lang has appeared on charges of burglary in the third degree, destruction of property as an act of domestic violence, and trespassing. On October 15th, a woman requested the assistance of police to turn off a fan that was possibly left on at a residence on Company Street in Christiansted. The residence belonged to the woman's deceased sister, she said, and the property was involved in the probate process. When officers arrived at the location to render the requested assistance, they observed in a structure not connected to the main house a broken door hanging off its bottom hinge. The woman told them that she and her brother had secured that door when they left the house on October 13th by moving a tall dresser behind it. She attempted to access an adjoining room through another door, but it was locked from the inside. The western door of that same room was jammed shut, a piece of white t-shirt twisted around the door handle, and a ladder wedged against the door, preventing it from being opened. The woman reported that a second ladder was also missing from the same room and asserted that the house had been well secured when she left it on October 13th. In a small room located at the southern end of that structure, police noted a broken window and what appeared to be blood on the glass and on the wall next to it. The door of that room was also broken and hanging from its bottom hinges. None of this damage was present on October 13th, the woman asserted. The woman and accompanying police officer noted more evidence of unauthorized entry when they moved onto the main home. A long orange extension cord snaked from the hallway into the kitchen, and a toaster oven and small grill were plugged in, appliances which the woman said were not there when she was last in the house. In the living room, she noted that the entertainment center had been damaged and moved from its original location, leaving long scratch marks along the wall to mark where it had once stood. When the woman and police officer moved to the residence's northeastern bedroom, they discovered a man sleeping on the floor. He was identified as the woman's nephew, Aaron Lang, known to be unhoused. Louvers across the bottom of one of the bedroom's windows had been broken, and a mattress had been leaned up against the window in a manner the woman believed to be an attempt at preventing anyone from gaining access that way. Lang was awoken from his slumber and informed that he was being arrested. At the station, he declined to provide a statement, but kept loudly declaring his intention to continue entering his deceased aunt's home no matter what anybody said. The deceased woman's sister noted that nobody had permission to enter the house, remove anything from it, or introduce any items to the house until the probate process had been completed. In court on Monday, the judge ruled that Lang would be allowed to post an unsecured bond for $1,000 to secure his release. He is not permitted to enter the premises where the incident took place, nor is he allowed to have any contact with the complainant or any witnesses in the matter.